I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another night of iRacing action here on the National Racing Network, where tonight it will be the stars and cars of the Sim Speed Shop Premier Series taking on Atlanta Motor Speedway for the P1 Battery Powerhouse 175, presented by P1 Battery. My name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us here on a, well, quite frankly, very nice Wednesday night here in the eastern half of Pennsylvania. Patrick Byrne, as always, will be joining me in the booth here shortly, and looking forward to talk to Bizzle here. Qualifications just getting ready to roll, but first let's very quickly tell you about the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Recently reconfigured in the last couple of years or so, located in Hampton, Georgia, USA, located right outside of the Atlanta city limits proper. 28 degrees of banking, 1.540 miles. Billy Boat holds the overall track record on both the new and the old configuration, 24.732 seconds, set back in 1998 in what is now the NTT IndyCar Series. Looking forward to a really, really good show here tonight, because since the changeover in the the configuration change, this place has been absolutely spectacular racing-wise, as we'll pick up Kevin Dick making his way out onto the speedway for tonight's qualification session. Drivers have about 10 minutes to get 2 laps in the books, and almost everybody is out on the racetrack. Just a handful of drivers not on the speedway right now. Taking a look at the point standings as we enter tonight's race, and Kevin Dick is at the top of the charts here in the Sim Racers Club Premier Series. And he goes top of the board, 31.693, 31.69 with a 3. Nice lap there for Kevin Dick. Hunter Waters, Justin Rideout, Scott Wise, Johnny Avila complete the top 5. At least after lap number 1, Lee Campbell, he puts up a heater on lap number 1, 31.620. Lap number 2 for Kevin Dick. He'll come across the start-finish line and go second quick, 31.409. New quick time, Hunter Waters, 31.401. Johnny Avila's even faster, 31.338 seconds. That was a monster lap. Justin Rideout now to the top of the board. 31.324 drops Avila down to second. A.J. Digby up to third. Will Worsler to fourth at the completion of their runs. Avila, Digby, Worsler, 3 Will Worsler racing cars inside the top 5. Now Anthony Hanley up to second quick at a 31.328. Lap number 1 for Tom Wilhite, 31.874. He will be 12th quick. But again, lap number 1 is not the story of qualifications here, as we follow along the P1 battery, number 19 of Tom Wilhite. Tyler Seville also on the racetrack, completing his first qualification lap. Lap number 2 for Wilhite will be third quick. Good lap there, 31.335, 31.33 with a 5 for Tom Wilhite. Tyler Seville does not improve on lap number 2. Let's pick up Richard Fletcher. What would you do for a Klondike Bar special? The 43 Ford Mustang entering turn number 3 for the Wilkesboro, North Carolina native. Already one win on a super speedway this season in the season opening race at the Daytona International Speedway. Lap number 1 for Fletcher will be 16th quick, 31.610. Jim Thorndike on the racetrack, as is John Moeller and Richard Smith II. Only car that has not yet attempted a lap in qualifications is the number 2 of Mike Large. John Moeller moves himself up to the 9th position, 31.386. Lap number 2 for Fletch as he comes down over the start-finish line will be good enough for 13th quick, 31.406. Jim Thorndike moves up to the 9th position at a 31.380. John Moeller with a good qualifying run. Johnny getting himself up into the 10th position, 31.386. Let's pick up Richard Smith II, working his second qualification lap. Harmony, Ontario, Canada native, piloting a Toyota Camry for Showtime Racing. He is over the line for lap number 2, and he will be 17th on the board at a 31.452. Final car to take time here in qualifications will be the number 2 Shop Fox Ford Mustang of Mike Larch. Before we get too deep into this one, got to say a big thank you to everybody that's tuned in on Facebook and on YouTube. Larch just working lap number 1, and he's way high, wide, and handsome through 3 and 4. Trying to get as much momentum wound up into that car as he can. Lap number 1, 31.981. That will be good enough for 19th quick on the board. 19th of the 21 cars that are here on the entry list and have taken time this evening. Lap number 2 for Mike Larch. Off at turn number 4, drops it down onto the apron over the start-finish line. And his second lap will be quick time, 31.294. 31.294 seconds. And Mike Larch goes top of the board with the final lap in qualifications. That was an impressive lap out of Mike Larch there on lap number 2. My goodness, we are going to be in for a show tonight. You've got to go 12 cars deep to find a tenth of a second in qualifications. The top 19 cars are separated by less than 2 tenths. Oh my goodness. This one is going to be a fantastic show here this evening as we welcome into the booth our buddy the Bizzler, Mr. Patrick Byrne. And man, I'll tell you what, Bizzle, the points battle I think is going to be closer than we think, but the action tonight might be even crazier here in the P1 Battery Powerhouse 175.
Yeah, this is going to be an intensely tight race. Seeing Kevin Dick not performing as well as we normally see him in qualifying, way back there in the 15th spot, so might be a rough points night for him.
Yeah, he's way back. A tenth and change, a tenth and a quarter, basically, is where he is. Or, yeah, just about a tenth and a quarter in the 15th position. This reconfiguration of Atlanta Motor Speedway is... it was derided by everybody that talked about it. It's about the same width as Daytona on a 1.5 mile racetrack, and you just can't run a pack race. And then we've seen it here on the iRacing platform, and we've seen it in the real world. This place puts on an absolutely incredible show.
Yeah, it's been crazy. Every race we've seen here, whether real world or iRacing, yeah, they're stuck in a pack. You can't really I don't want to say you can't really pass, but you're kind of forced there. And they run them 3-4 wide sometimes around here, and it just seems like there's no way they could possibly do it.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one to watch here tonight. Now, the storyline, the other big storyline, the deeper we get here, with this being race number 8 of 12, is the championship point standings. Right now, Kevin Dick holds a 43-point lead over Johnny Avila. It is 52 points over Tyler Seville in third, 62 over Hunter Waters in fourth. Quentin Clark in fifth is 90 points back. However, the drivers only get one drop week, and you've recently gotten some information that says Kevin Dick is actually going to miss 2 of the final 4 races. That is going to instantaneously close this championship battle right up.
It could. It's a possibility. Nothing is set in stone yet, but it's definitely something you got to keep in the back of your mind.
Yeah, I mean, you figure if you're going to give up potentially 40 points for a win, plus all the stage points and everything else that go along with it, you're going to have your drop week. So that's understandable. But it's that extra race where you could theoretically give up as many as 60 points.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough. He's going to have to perform on top of his game for each and every race throughout the rest of the season until he might possibly have to miss those.
Okay, so it's a possibility. Oh, that's even more interesting. I was under the impression that it was one of those like, hey, there's 2 that we ain't going to have somebody for. But if it's a possibility now, if you're Johnny Avila and Tyler Seville, Hunter Waters even, you really have to go like a bat out of hell then. Because if he doesn't miss any, now you've got to try to make up a full 43 points.
Yeah, so if you're Johnny Avila, you got to go out there each and every week like you're running still just for the championship as normal. You can't bank on that happening unless Johnny does send a bunch of soccer tickets his way.
That's true. There is a big game, a big match, if you will, on tonight. The U.S. women taking on the Netherlands, I believe. There was some discussion of that in the pre-race. That'll be watched on the phones and all that. Going to be interesting to see if we get any. I'll have to keep a score tracker up somewhere to see if, as we score a goal, do we get a caution flag right after. But first, let's take a look at tonight's starting lineup for the SimSpeedShop.com Premier Series. P1 Battery Powerhouse 175 at Atlanta. Starting on the pole in the number 2 Shop Fox Ford Mustang will be Michael Larch. Lining up alongside will be the JW Racing number 8 of Justin Rideout. Row 2 will see the Sim Coaches number 88 Chevrolet Camaro of Anthony Hanley out of Albany, Georgia for Riot Motorsports. Superior Templating and Riot Motorsports Customs also on the side of that machine. Lining up alongside will be the number 19 of Tom Wilhite in the P1 Battery Chevrolet Camaro. Johnny Avila in the TeamZSS.com number 63 out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada for Will Worsler Racing. Lining up alongside of his teammate number 14 AJ Digby out of Alliance, Ohio. The University of Mount Union Esports, Will Worsler Racing, number 14, AJ. Row number 4 will have the Bulldog Roof Works, number 29, of Will Worsler, lining up alongside of the number 31 of Scott Wise. Row 5 will be the Mountain Dew Zero Sugar number 4 of Lee Campbell alongside of the number 59 of Jim Thorndike in the Sim Coaches Chevrolet Camaro. Row 6, the number 83 Black Clover entry Chevrolet for Johnny Moeller out of Elgin, South Carolina, lining up alongside of Quentin Clark out of Haymarket, Virginia in the Riot Motorsports number 42. Hunter Waters in the Hunter's Fried Pickles, number 7 Chevrolet Camaro out of Newburgh, Indiana, alongside of Richard Fletcher out of Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Row 8 will see points leader Kevin Dick in the Custom Paints and Die-Cast. Zeem Speed Shop, number 52, alongside of the Woodfather, number 28 of Troy Haight. Andrew Moore Jr.'s Weiss Markets, number 77 out of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, alongside of the Apex Racing, number 23, of Richard Smith II for Showtime Racing. Row 10, Andrew Mraz and the Sim Coaches 45 alongside of the Chubbies, number 11 of Tyler Seville. And all alone on row number 11 will be the number 89 Rayo's homemade Ford Mustang of Jeff Yenish. Field making their way through turns 3 and 4. We are getting ready to go green flag racing. It'll be Larch and Ride Out on the front row. Green flag goes in the air and we are underway. Top 6 all going to be bumper to bumper as they head off towards turn number 1. AJ Digby tried to give the shove to Will Height. He had to back off it a little bit. Large slides up a little. Oh my goodness. Already squirrely. They're not even off at turn 2.
Yeah, that's the biggest difference between this track and Daytona and Talladega is the cars are all over the place on edge around here. Daytona and Talladega, you can easily hold it flat. Here, you can hold it flat, but not very easily.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of brake dragging that goes on, maybe even a little bit of a lift off the throttle. And with the tapered spacer, that makes that possible. The old restrictor plates, you would have had to manage that with the brakes. With the tapered spacer, you can more get away with getting off the throttle and then right back onto it again.
Yeah, the tapered spacer, though, you can still use the throttle a little more than you could with the restrictor plate. Because it's a tapered spacer, it's increasing the airflow, increasing the speed of the airflow, so it's going to be a lot more responsive than the restrictor plate was.
Yeah, it's not a hard limiter. I mean, the old restrictor plates literally were holes. You just made the hole smaller with a plate. So there was all sorts of, I guess what, air, it wasn't an air reduction, it was an air blockage, which caused air disturbances right around the carburetors and the fuel injection systems now. The tapered spacer is more of like, it funnels the airflow a little bit into a narrower space.
Yeah, it almost acts as Venturi. So you can make the hole smaller and still flow the same amount of air. And it makes it a lot more responsive where it's going to instantly change to changes in the throttle blade position.
Johnny Avila thought about getting up on the high side. He tucks back in line. Top 10, let's see. Yeah, right about the top, let's say top 7 or so. All go, well, they were single filed. Now Johnny Avila and Will Worsler going to make their way up to the high side of the racetrack as we work lap number 5. Tonight, stage breaks will be at lap number 30 and lap number 65, and it will be a caution flag at lap number 30. So everybody's going to get to make the stop there. We heard the number was right around 65 laps or so, which means there will definitely be a pit stop coming in the second half of this race as well, assuming everybody's going to stop here at the end of stage number 1.
Yeah, lap 65 sounds about right, because you could do about 55 to 58 at the 2.5 mile track. So this only being 1.5 miles, those extra laps make sense.
Very cool. Just getting the word here from Race Control. Tonight's sponsor, P1 Battery, giving the race winner t-shirt and hat with the logos on them. So a little bit of swag going out the door for our race winners here tonight, courtesy of P1 Battery. How about Johnny Moeller running up there in position number 6 right now, inside of Johnny Avila. Top 2, nose to tail, that's Justin Rideout and Anthony Handley. I'm interested to see if we get any strategy games that play out. In talking with some of the guys before the race, they said they could definitely go. They thought they could go 65 laps. They could make the caution and be good if you stayed in the pack and you weren't out front trying to lead. does that mean you then, do you not make the pit stop at the end of stage number 1 and try to make this a one-stop race? Or does the fact that it's a pack race just absolutely negate any strategy and you kind of have to come down every shot you get?
I tend to not worry about strategy on pack races. I tend to want to stay with a group of cars. So if it's green flag stops, absolutely I'm going with as many cars as I can. And if we get a caution flag here, whoa, right out with another huge save.
Wow.
If we get a caution flag, then maybe I'll try and switch it up, but generally it's stick on the same plan your teammates are going, because you kind of want to stick with them and stay in the pack.
Oh my goodness, Justin Rideout doing a fantastic job of staying with the pack. He's going to have Tom Wilhite right behind, and a side-by-side battle between Troy Haight and Hunter Waters just ahead. But now we've got another new race leader, Johnny Avila, to the head of the line. Will Worsler giving him the big shove. Mike Larch, Anthony Hanley staying right there. Lee Campbell having a nice run here as well in the 5th position. Oh, there's contact. Worsler goes around.
How do they? Oh man, they almost all kept it
AJ
together.
Digby, Johnny Moeller, both going to get big contact there, but we stay green.
There's no way.
I am absolutely at a loss for words how that did not put us under the first caution flag of the night. Take a look at the instant replay. Worsler tried to get down to the bottom lane. He corrected everything out.
Somehow.
Everybody saved it. That was absolutely ridiculous. And what this has done is really created multiple different packs that are all going to be running together here. Johnny Avila and Mike Larch are your 2 race leaders. They are 1.2 seconds ahead of the pack led by Anthony Handley in the 2nd position. That goes back to 9th place Andrew Moore Jr. Then behind Moore, you end up with Will Worsler and Hunter Waters in 10th and 11th. And then you got to go another full 3 seconds back to get to Tom Wilhite and Scott Wise. And then finally, the next big pack, led by Richard Smith II. All of these guys were looking to just kind of stay out of trouble at the back. I think they've done so successfully. But we now have, multiple different races here, although the lead pack has caught up to the 2 race leaders. So now this line goes from 1st to 9th, and then it's a full 3 seconds back to Will Worsler. Brad Allison checking in the comments. Should be a great race tonight. All looking forward to it. Brad, we need you back in a car, buddy.
Yeah, Brad Allison, a great driver, especially on these super speedways. A fantastic teammate. He's a very easy car to push, and he's a fantastic pusher as well. Just the perfect teammate for running one of these tracks.
Already approaching the end of stage number 1 as we work lap number 18, just past the halfway point, I guess. And here in stage number 1, and Anthony Handley working with Quentin Clark on the high side of the racetrack. They will head out to the race lead. They're going to bring Andrew Mraz along in the tow. And you talked about guys that did not qualify all that well. Kevin Dick was on that list, and now he's up to position number 5, 3rd on our list of most positions gained. The hard charger award. One of the... Oh, hold on to it, Handley! Wow, what a save, Anthony Handley!
Hey, he's not saved it yet. Oh, man.
Pretty big contact with the
Broke
left
too
front.
soon.
Let's take a look here and see. I still can't believe we haven't gotten a yellow yet. That's crazy.
We're going to get one here soon for the state.
Take a look. The contact from Quentin Clark. Handley, he was about to wad up the entire lead pack and did a great job keeping that car from rebounding back. Kind of the ground effect snapback into the pack. Handley did a great job, but unfortunately going to put him back into the 20th position as he is on pit lane. John Moeller also on pit lane. The only cars that have made a stop at this point. Getting feisty here. We're only 22 laps into this thing here, Bizzle.
Yeah, if they're acting like this only not even a quarter of the way through this race, they're going to get spicy as we get to the end of it. I think the last time we were at this track, we saw 4 of the Will Warsaw racing cars wreck each other going across the line, so hoping to see something crazy like that happen again.
Some good news in the comments. Brad Allison, I am back for the next season and can't wait. That is fantastic.
Ooh, that means I'll get to race Brad Allison next season as in the fall season, because I get to race him at the Roval then. Me and Brad are about the same speed. Fantastic competitor.
You're also this is coming from the same guy who thought he was the same pace as Johnny Avila on the road course at Watkins Glen a couple of weeks ago.
Well, yeah, because Johnny was sandbagging every time he sent me his lap times. Getting my hopes up.
Yeah.
It's okay. I still beat him at Watkins Glen in the trucks. I'll take it.
And the Daytona Roval, or no, he beat you in that one too, didn't he?
No, he did not. I lapped him in that one.
Caution on the speedway.
For our stage break.
No, we are at lap number 25. I think it's going to be trouble for Richard Smith II. Let's take a look here at the instant replay and see if we can see what happened here to the 23.
Oh, man,
he
just
got
a little
some
bit
help
of
from
contact with the
Justin
Ryan
right
out. Saved the car, though. Did a perfect 360. You know, if this was the Olympics, I'd give him an 8 out of 10 for that one. He had to pull it below the yellow line, but it was still a good save. No damage to the car, and he's going to be able to race on.
Now, the question becomes, will this be the stage break?
I think it will. I don't see any reason for them to do one lap on the green and then go right back on the yellow again. So this one I think will count as the stage break.
Right, that's my thought too. Typically, if it extends, the way the rule works is if the caution will extend... okay. We have the answer from race control. If the stage extends, if the caution extends to the stage break, then the caution counts as the stage break, and the field is frozen as of the race result when the caution flew. If it
so you're
does
seeing some
not,
of these cars staying out, like Michael Larch, Kevin Dick. They stay out there, and we only do one lap on the green. They're going to take a whole bunch of stage points. And then they're going to pit and get cycled right back to where they were anyway. So, racing-wise, that puts Johnny Avila, Troy Haight, Jeff Jensch right up towards the front again if it cycles through to be another yellow. But if it doesn't, that almost screws.
Not really. It was, well, sort of. It was a no-win for Johnny Avila. Because if this extends to lap number 30, which I don't think it will.
Well, if it does, then he wins the stage, no?
Correct. If it extends to, if the caution goes to lap 30, Johnny Avila gets the stage win because he was the leader at the time the caution flew. If it doesn't, he's only going to restart in, looks like, the 13th position, and depending on where everybody splits. Yeah, there we go. We've gotten the one to go at lap number 28. I think that was a big brain move by Johnny Avila there. Because the field's going to split. They're going to run 2 laps under green, and then they'll get the caution for the stage break. Avila's going to give up a few stage points, but he's now not going to have to pit under that next yellow.
Yeah, all he's got to do is make up, 2-3 spots, 2-3 rows up, and he's already in the 10th position, getting a stage point.
Correct.
If these guys all wreck each other, he could still come out on top with a whole bunch of stage points. These guys know it's going to be only 1 lap till the stage ends.
Correct. It's basically going to be the green flag, and then the next flag they see. Wait, hold on. They're going to take the green at 29, so it's going to be a 2-lap shootout.
Yeah.
For the stage, for the end of stage number 1. So plenty of time, quite frankly, with the way these cars pack race, for Johnny Avila to make up a couple of positions. The flip side of the coin is, like you said, if they do something dumb and wad themselves up, he's out the stage points, except for all the cars that he would pass as the green flag comes back out. Mike Larch and Kevin Dick going to lead the field back to turn number 1.
Johnny Avila already being very aggressive back there. Bunch of squirrels in the mid-pack there. 3 wide now.
3 wide to turn number 3. Jim Thorndike up against the outside wall.
Yeah, that wall don't help you go any faster here at Atlanta. It might at Martinsville, but not here.
1 lap to go here in stage number 1. Mike Larch, Andrew Mraz, Kevin Dick will be your race leaders off at turn number 2, heading down the backstretch.
Andrew Mraz going to swing out to the high side. Will he get the run coming out of 4 and win the stage? Kevin Dick's going to be right behind to help him out.
Is Kevin Dick going to have a chance to make a move here? Down to the start-finish line, green and white checkers in the air. Caution
and Johnny
is
Avila
out.
is not getting any stage points, crossing it in 15th.
Yeah, 15th spot for Johnny Avila, but Andrew Mraz picks up the win in Northland Leisure, stage number 1. So now the field will come around to pick up the iRacing safety truck, and then we will get ready to see when everybody's going to come down pit lane. And with the caution flying when and how it did, this could prove to be a huge advantage for Andrew Mraz. They pick up the pace truck in turn 3. How much of the pack is going to be tightened up here and ready to dive down pit lane?
Most of it up to that 15th position.
Yeah, it looks like everybody's getting pretty well packed in here. So your race leaders will all head down pit lane back to about 15th place Johnny Avila. Looks like Justin Rideout will stay out on the racetrack, as does Jeff Yenish. Scott Wise is still on the racetrack as well. Johnny Avila down pit lane. I'm interested by that call.
Maybe it's to just stay on sequence with all these guys, but same time, I don't get it. Because he would have been pushed right back to the front of the field. Now
You know what?
Going to be way in the back.
It puts him on the same fuel strategy as everybody else, though. Great work.
But it does move him up to 6, because he only just had to take a splash. Didn't need to take tires or anything. So it's still going to work out for him a little bit.
Correct.
And it puts him right there with his two teammates, Hunter Waters and Tyler Seville.
Yep,
Buddy Jeff Yenish going to be up there in the second spot, and Will Worcer's right behind him. So I guess it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it's ultimately, I guess it hurt him a little bit in the hunt for stage points. But Tyler Seville is the winner of the race off of pit road. He will come off pit lane in position number 4. So it'll be Justin Rideout, Jeff Yenish, Scott Wise, Tyler Seville, Hunter Waters, the top 5 as they cycle back around here, and they should. This will be the excuse me. This will be when the lap down cars will get to make their pit stop. Next lap, they should get that 1 to go signal. Well, no, they got it this time by. Field has gotten the signal to double up here. Lee Campbell may have bounced it off the safer barrier there, trying to get out towards that outside wall. That means it will be Justin Rideout and Jeff Yenish on row number 1. Tyler Seville and Scott Wise on row 2. Hunter Waters and Johnny Avila, row 3. Row 4, Andrew Mraz and Kevin Dick. Row number 5 will have Quentin Clark and Mike Larch for the restart. Row 6 looks to be Tom Wilhite and Lee Campbell. Row 7, Richard Fletcher and Andrew Moore Jr. So now it's basically going to be another 30 lap dash to get to the end of stage number 2. However, now you will not get a caution flag. At the end of stage number 2. Looks like it'll be, I'm going to say, I guess 80 laps to go to get to the end of this one. I don't think anybody can try to stretch it unless we do a ton of laps behind the iRacing safety car. But green flag goes back out. Justin Rideout. He was sideways and squirrely up against the inside retaining wall very early in this race. Now he's back to the race lead.
Yeah, from almost seeing God and seeing that inside wall to leading the inside line. Scott Wise and Jeff Yenish, though, going to take the top spots. And Johnny Avila already back up to the 3rd position. Where did he come from?
Yeah, he was super aggressive on the start. Oh, Kevin Dick bounces it off the safer barrier, getting into turn number 1. Now your two guys leading the championship battle are going to be leading the outside lane as they make their way down the backstretch. Wise, Yenish, and Rideout on the inside lane. Lee Campbell, a little bit of a connection issue. We saw him blink. And Bizzle, there is a provision in the rule book for that. I think you get one, and then you get a warning, and then you get a black flag.
Yes, you are not allowed to be out there blinking. Sorry if your internet connection's being a little iffy tonight. Well, we just call it your engine builder had a bad day. You got a spark plug going out. There goes the other spark plug. 3's out. You're too slow to run on the racetrack.
That's a great way to look at it. We talk about the real world stuff that doesn't quite happen in the sim world, but the sim world things that don't happen in the real world. But there are parallels. You get a bad batch of plugs or something, and the connection to your engine isn't going to be real good.
Yeah, or you have wheel trouble, and you know what? It's just like you're having suspension issues, and the car don't want to turn. If your wheel gets unplugged, that car ain't going to want to turn either.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Now, top 3 single file, that will be Avila, Dick, and Larch. Rideout and Yenish will stay side by side. Well, maybe not. Rideout able to clear. Now it's going to be Tyler Seville making that inside lane work. What really I find interesting is we talk about energy management at the super speedways. It comes into play here, but it's very, very different in that you're not building up the massive head of steam like you see at Daytona and Talladega. It's more about just knowing what's going on around you and being able to manage the cars in your immediate area.
Yeah, it's almost like Dale Jr. and Sr. Talked about it extensively, where you can almost see the air when you get very good at it. You can see where those low pressure zones are, and that's where you want to be. If there's low air pressure, there's not a lot of air to give drag on the car, and the car goes faster. And you can see where that high pressure is, and it helps you at side drafting because you can move that high pressure air onto the spoiler of the car that's next to you, slow them down, make the pass a little bit easier. It helps if you visualize it as the air being a liquid, because when you start to compress it, it becomes a liquid. And if you kind of imagine how, like, you would move your hand inside of a pool and how the water would move around it, that's exactly what's happening. And there's just some guys who are really, really good at that.
Yeah, the side drafting is a little bit different in these cars as well, in that it used to be you could side draft a car for a bit of a speed boost. Now when you side draft, you're more slowing the other car down by dumping the air onto the spoiler.
Yeah, and you have to look at it in a wind tunnel. I believe Larry McReynolds has a video on it that's floating around somewhere where he has 2 cars, like model cars, in a wind tunnel. And it really shows the effect where you're moving that air off of the quarter panel onto the spoiler, and it creates that high pressure air that's circulating on the rear spoiler, and that's what's slowing them down. It's a super, super weird concept. It took me a while to get a grasp on it, but once I figured out how it was working, you can really use it to make some wild passes and kind of get through the field by yourself on the high side.
Yeah, excuse me, I'm trying to think of the accurate way to say this. It's you're creating dirty air. And whereas the old cars that were the old Twisted Sister cars, when you would side draft somebody, you got a speed advantage because you had less drag on the car. So you were reducing your drag. Whereas now the side draft is adding to the drag on the other car.
Yeah, and that's because of how symmetrical these cars are. The old cars being not symmetrical, you could play some weird games, get certain parts of the car out of the air. There was, you see cars in qualifying, the driver would hold their hand just to where their fingers met their palm out the window just to pull air off of the rear spoiler. Silly little stuff like that was huge in the Twisted Sister cars. These things, however, they're perfectly symmetrical. There's not a lot of games you could play to take air off of them, and you're kind of stuck with what you got.
Yeah, even at one point, NASCAR was policing the tire changers on pit road because as they would take the right rear tire off, they would kind of hook the bodywork at the front and flare it out ever so slightly because that dumped air off of the top side of the race car and dumped it out the bottom. And you basically changed the aerodynamic profile of the car enough that you gained a performance advantage.
Yeah, they really cracked down on that after Texas 2014 when Keselowski's car had it flared out huge and it cut down the left rear tire on Jeff Gordon's car. And there was that huge fight, probably the biggest fight in NASCAR history, the entire pit lane heading in on each other.
Yeah, rolling razor blades at 190 mile an hour. That's
It was safe.
yeah, they were good ideas. No change at the front of the field. It's still Johnny Avila leading Kevin Dick and Mike Large, but now Lee Campbell getting a good head of steam buildup on the outside of the racetrack. This is kind of where you can try to manage that air a little bit if you're Kevin Dick. You don't pop out now, but next time off of turn 2, maybe you're looking for that move to get made, and you can kind of just slide up and take advantage of the pack of air that those cars have built up. Nothing coming on that outside lane as the pack comes past John Moeller, currently running in the 20th position. Anthony Handley still on pit lane. 20 minutes of repair time for that number 88.
I believe the damaged car policy would come into effect, but I don't think we have one of those here in SRC. As long as you make minimum speed, you're allowed back there on the racetrack. So if we do get a huge caution here, there's still some spots he can make back up, but getting close, he's going to have to get back on track pretty soon.
Yeah, I think the night is basically over for Anthony Handley, but so interesting that there is not a damaged vehicle policy. Basically, if iRacing will let you go, the rule book says go ahead and go.
As long as you're, I don't know what their percentage for minimum speed is, but there's a minimum speed. If you're driving around the track 100 miles an hour slower than everyone else, they're going to ask you to pull it off the racetrack before you're a rolling chicane.
So now inside of, actually no, I'm sorry, stage 2 is going to end at lap number 65. So still 13 laps away from the end of stage number 2 here. And again, there will not be a caution flag.
Yep, they're going to race right through the stage end. So going to see some drivers getting a little feisty trying to get those stage points, but maybe not as feisty as the 2-lap shootout we had a little bit earlier to close out stage number 1.
Yeah, I think we're approaching the point now where these guys are going to want to at least try to settle in a little bit, at least as much as you can, because we're still about 45 laps or so away from the next pit stops that these drivers will have to make, which puts you right around lap number 100 or so, which is going to be absolutely crazy. And quite frankly, going to make for a fantastic show. Got to thank all of the sponsors of the Sim Racers Club for their support, including Real Assist coming on as a sponsor this season. Also, P1 Battery, the presenting sponsor of tonight's P1 Battery Powerhouse 175. Realty Executive Saskatoon are the sponsors of the Most Laps Led, Hard Charger, and Most Positions Lost prizes. Northland Leisure Products picking up the sponsorship of our stage breaks. Custom Paints and Diecasts, a seasonal and Grand Champion prize sponsor. And Sim Speed Shop, the entitlement sponsor of the Sim Speed Shop Premier Series, with seasonal champion and safe driver drawing prizes and Grand Championship prizes for the top 2. Next time by, it'll be 10 to go here in stage number 2. They're behaving themselves for now. The question, I guess, becomes, do we see anybody push really hard to pick up stage points here at the end of stage number 2, knowing you're not going to get the caution flag?
Drivers up front seem to be playing nice so far, staying single file. Nobody's pulling out, making any crazy moves just yet. I'm kind of surprised no one's formed up the second line towards the front.
Yeah, Jeff Yenish thought about jumping up in front of Lee Campbell there, but he tucks back in line in front of Tyler Seville. Yenish again makes the move, kind of just stalls out that second line. Able to hold him back just a little bit. Scott Wise way high up into 1 and 2. Almost making contact with Mraz exiting the corner. Yanish looking inside of Justin Rideout for position number 4. That's going to add an extra car to the top side. At this point, still only one caution flag in this race, knocking on wood here. We should have had, I think, 3 by now. 3, if not 4. Man, they're working on one now. 3 wide, almost 4 wide. Lee Campbell, big time bounce off the safer barrier. He keeps the hammer down and won't lose but 1 position to Hunter Waters.
Yeah, the safer barriers are pretty bouncy. If you hit them just right, you'll bounce right off of them. It's when you nose into them that it hurts.
Yeah, the steel and foam energy reduction barrier is what the SAFER stands for. And the original SAFERs that were put in were significantly harder. It's square tubular steel, 3 or 4 layers of that with foam behind it, and then you had concrete retaining walls and those types of things. But then you had places like Iowa Speedway, which was the first of the second generation safer barrier tracks. There is no wall behind the safer barrier. It basically is just posts, I-beams anchored into concrete. Oh, hold on to it. Wow, Scott Wise bounced it off the wall, almost clipped Tyler Seville. Hunter Waters says, no, sir. No, I'm done inside of you. I will get in front of you.
Get that pickle out of there.
But so I was saying, these second generation safer barriers, it's not less strong in any way, but it is a more givable steel barrier.
And that's what's really important, because in a race car, you don't have airbags or anything. All that stuff hurts a lot more and isn't going to save you like it is in a street car. So the driver's compartment of a race car is built very rigid, so you need everything else around it to move. So that's why you see the pieces and parts flying off the race cars, the nose will get torn off, and the walls on the track move. That's why at road courses you see the tire barriers, because the tires are soft, they move. You see the safer barriers here on the ovals, those move, because you want to take all of that energy away from the driver, as Kevin Dick is going up the inside of Johnny Avila.
See if he can
take away the race lead.
See if he can make the move stick.
Johnny's going to have some help right behind. That looks like it's going to be 42
Clark.
Of Quentin Clark.
Yeah, Quentin Clark going to give Avila a little bit of a shove, but 1 lap to go here in stage number 2. Avila's going to have to really make something happen here. He slides back again. Avila way up on the high side of the racetrack.
Not able to slide down in front of Andrew Mraz, so he's going to slide back even more. Avila's going to cross the line in 7th. Kevin Dick gets all of the stage points possible for number 2, and he's going to come out in the top spot, winning the Northland League stage number 2.
Kevin Dick gets the stage win. Johnny Avila goes from 1st to 7th and gives up a pile of stage points. Now, and this is something that I absolutely love. When we get the stage break caution to come at the end of stage 1, you don't have that finality of, okay, you're splitting the race in half-ish, and now you're going to go run a 60-whatever lap race. Now, it's almost like it's just go time. No let-up, no funny business and games and stuff under caution. You just now know, hey, stage 2 is over. I've got to go.
Yeah, it is pedal to the metal time. You're not going to get any planned cautions, so kind of got to hope there isn't one, or hope there is one if you're in a spot where you need to top off some fuel.
Well, and I think everybody is going to have to top off. Third place Justin Rideout is actually 41 laps into this stint, as is Jeff Yenish and Scott Wise. Everybody else is 35 laps into the stint. Oh, Rideout! Way to the inside again! Oh my goodness, he saved it twice!
Third time's the charm. Do we see him save it again, or do we see him in the wall?
Yeah. Mike Larch having to look outside of Kevin Dick for the race lead. Andrew Mraz, Quentin Clark are going to be there. Right now, both cars electing to stay down on the inside with the race leader, Johnny Avila, up behind the 42 of Clark. That'll be the second and third cars in line on the outside. There you see on the timing tower the last pit stop lap for all of the cars in the field. So it gives you an idea. If you can go about 65 laps, you're about 32, 33 laps away from having to come down pit road. Just checking with race control on if the cars need to enter pit lane from turn 3. There is not a commitment line here as there is in the real world. That rule was changed for the recent visit to Atlanta Motor Speedway. My understanding is, at least I think, the drivers will be able to enter from turn number 4, which means you are going to be carrying a ton of speed. Yeah, that's just getting the word from race control. Drivers can enter wherever they wish. This is a hard pit lane to get onto when you're talking about doing 180 mile an hour and trying to get yourself woed up in the middle of the pack.
This was a hard pit lane to get onto before they made it a super speedway. Now that it's a super speedway, damn near impossible.
Yeah, not far off, quite frankly. Scott Wise still rim riding that number 31. He's back there with Tyler Seville in the 8th position. Johnny Avila all the way back to 12th. Taking a look at our hard chargers, Jeff Yanish up 17 spots, running in 4th. Andrew Mraz up 16, Kevin Dick up 13, Tyler Seville 12, and Andrew Moore Jr. 10. Anthony Handley will claim the award for most positions lost. Unfortunately, down 18 positions. Started 3rd, and he will finish this race in the 21st position. So Mike Larch, now your race leader, picking that spot up just a couple of laps ago from from Kevin Dick. So now down to 38 laps to go. And basically everybody is in the window of being able to make their final pit stop.
Yeah, you see a lot of these guys trying to get down to the bottom, get single file. I would imagine within the next 2-3 laps, we see Tyler Seville get down there and try and get down on the pit road. See Johnny Avila waiting, kind of distancing himself from everyone, because I have a feeling the first group of cars to go down might end up binning it.
Yeah, it's almost like you don't want to be the first that have to get to pit lane. And in this
everyone waits
case,
till the last minute.
well, with not
It's
having
going to
the
be
stage
fine.
break, it's also kind of one of those deals where the overcut is probably the strategy call that's going to work best. Because you're going to if all you're doing is a splash and dash, or if you're going to even throwing tires on it, you're still spending a little bit less time on pit lane. The other question becomes, do you take tires on that final pit stop? I know that the drivers talking about how this place, it's not quite the old Atlanta that really ate tires, but at the same time, man, I don't know. If you can save yourself 7 or 8 seconds on pit lane.
I know at Daytona, I usually don't take tires in the final stop. Talladega, definitely don't take tires in the final stop. Here at Atlanta, though, I don't have enough experience to make a call.
Yeah, this one's going to be a tough one, I think, for Larry McDizzle to make the call up here in the booth. Roger Rios checking in, saying it's a bummer to miss this one. What does America's Worst Crew Chief think we should do?
America's Worst Crew Chief doesn't have enough data to make an informed or educated guess, so I'm going to say no. Don't take the tires. We're going to put it all on red. Don't take the tires. Stay out there. This is fresh asphalt. You'll be fine. Suck it up, kid. Possibly right side only. That's the only other thing I can see these guys doing, is maybe just throwing some right sides on it.
Yeah, I think that comes down to what is the timing of taking even just the right sides versus the amount of fuel that you're going to need, because iRacing does have the auto fuel now, so you can kind of set it up to say, hey, give me 1 lap, give me 3 laps, give me 5 laps, whatever you want as a margin to allow for overtime, and basically iRacing does the math for you.
Yeah, I like that new feature because all of the third-party software was already doing that for you. I am old school iRacing. When I got into this, I used to race with a calculator sitting right there on my lap, doing all my numbers, knowing exactly how much fuel I need, but it is the 21st century, so I'm glad it does it for you now. I think it's cheating, but...
See, I don't know if it's actually cheating in that if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying aspect, because... like you said, everybody had... You had the fuel calculators. Crew Chief, JRT, SimLabs.
You name it, it was already doing the calculation for you. You just had to punch the number in. So now iRacing is putting that number in for you. Robert Chrysler saying take right sides and fuel. I'm thinking that might be the move.
He's crew chief in micro sprints out at Lyco's Clyde Martin Memorial Speedway. So...
But micro sprints don't have pit stops. It's like asking me.
You take tires and fuel every time your Thunderbird breaks down. Speaking of, if you want to throw some super chats or stars our way, there is a Porsche IndyCar engine that we may try to put into Bizzle's like Mazda pickup truck from the late 90s.
It's a Nissan.
I'm sorry, Nissan. Still a late 90s pickup truck that I think would be absolutely fantastic with an 1,000 horsepower Porsche IndyCar motor in it.
Do you imagine all the dumb stuff we could tow with a pickup truck powered by an IndyCar engine?
How much stuff you could tow.
We could tow an IndyCar. We could tow two of them.
I don't know that you could tow a pile of 2x4s out of the back. It's not made for that kind of performance.
No, because they only gave it a 4-banger. Now, you put 1,000 horsepower of Porsche IndyCar power in it, it'll tow anything once.
You'll at least get the ball hooked up before it quits. The Porsche IndyCar was not known for reliability.
Wasn't really known for going fast either, but...
Actually, Bizzle, next time you're down here, I'll have to show you the building where they built that engine. It's less than a mile from my house.
What's it, right on 611?
Yes.
I probably passed it a million times.
That is correct. Well, there is I believe a Kia dealership there now, but that was the original motorsports headquarters for Al Holbert's racing organization. Al Holbert.
Yeah, I've passed that a million times.
Yep, he was the Porsche North American racing distributor. Basically, if you were in the U.S., Canada, or Mexico, wanted to run a Porsche in racing, you had to go through Al Holbert. He built the IndyCar program out of that shop. Actually, the first full-blooded Porsche IndyCars came out of that building. Piles of racing history there.
Oh, yeah. In this part of the country, around here, around the Midwest, it's the birthplace of going fast. California wants that title, but it was here.
Yes, actually, this area was where let me figure out how to talk first. It was because of rain, but that's how Mario Andretti became the first and only person to win 3 USAC midget features in the same day.
Yeah, the shop I'm working at now, the amount of Junior Johnson, Yates stuff, I can't say exactly what kind of stuff, but just wild stuff that was built for NASCAR in the 80s and 90s, and that building is, God, it's beautiful.
Yeah, and so much of that history has been torn down. The old Hearst shifter factory there's now the site of a Costco. Basically, every Hearst shifter came out of that building for the better part of 35 years.
Which Costco? Saratoga?
No, right in Warminster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, literally, again, another one. Just go the other way down Street Road, and you get to there's a Costco on your left-hand side, and that was where Hearst Shifters was located. Linda Vaughn was a big presence here in Bucks County for many decades.
I got a chance to meet her at the U.S. Nationals when I went in 21.
Nice. She's a very sweet lady.
She is fantastic.
So now we're down to 21 to go, and guess what, Bizzle? It's time for pit stops. 61 laps on the stint for race leader Michael Larch. Andrew Mraz also at 61 laps. Third place Jeff Yenish is at 67 laps. Where that becomes a little bit interesting is Yenish is part of the Will Wursler Racing Armada.
And Andrew Mraz is a Riot Motorsports driver. So we see some cars already coming down pit road. That looked like Thorndike and
Will Wursler making their way back onto the racetrack. Actually, Johnny Avila has made his pit stop as well.
Pairing with Thomas Wilhite. We see some short pit action out of Johnny Avila. He's usually an overcut kind of guy.
Yeah, I'm thinking, are you trying to get on and off a pit road and avoid the carnage potentially? Avila is down and away, 14.4 seconds the time of the stop, so he took all 4 tires and fuel on his number 63 TeamZSS.com entry. Scott Wisely, Campbell in their pit boxes.
I'm interested to see what AJ Digby does on his stop. He's usually the go-to guy to know how much fuel to put in, what tires to take. Does he do something wild, or is he in everyone's ear going, nope, just throw 4 tires and slap some fuel at it?
Yeah, is AJ Digby the guy that's trying to stretch? He is the last car on the lead lap. 23 seconds behind your race leaders. Last lap for AJ Digby, 0.2 of a second slower than race leader Michael Larch.
So it looks like Andrew Mraz going to come down the pit road, sliding up the racetrack, has to catch the car.
Jeff Yenish also coming down this time. Oh my goodness. So now it's going to be Justin Rideout, Kevin Dick, Troy Haight. Let's see here. Here's Thorndike and Wursler getting themselves back on the lead lap around the race leader. Could the short pit have been the strategy call? All 3 of your leaders making their way down pit lane. Troy Haight also coming down pit lane. Crazy fast entry for Troy Haight. Man, he had that car woed up in time, though. That was an impressive pit entry for Troy Haight. Tyler Seville, 16 seconds, 15 seconds, 14 seconds behind. Thorndike and Wursler going to come around. Race leader down and away, 7.5 seconds for Mike Larch. Justin Rideout, 7.2. Kevin Dick, 4 tires and fuel, 14.7 seconds. Tyler Seville, Andrew Mraz make their way around. They will be at full speed coming off at turn number 2.
Easily taking the lead.
New race leader, Tyler Seville. And Andrew Mraz is going to be hooked up right on the bumper. So now you have to start looking at where everybody else is relative on the racetrack. There's 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Not packed up crazy tight yet. And with 14 to go, there may not be enough time for them to catch the race leaders, as the gap is sitting at almost 2 seconds. Tyler Seville.
Yeah, they have a huge gap on these guys.
I think Andrew Mraz thought he had everybody skunked, and then all of a sudden Tyler Seville took the wind out of the sails. 7.7 seconds, the time of the stop for Andrew Mraz. 5.3 for Tyler Seville. And a full 2 seconds faster total time on pit lane. 30.2 seconds for Tyler Seville. The only other guy that was close, Hunter Waters at 30.8, but he's all the way back in 7th. And running by his lonesome, too. Slide the camera back here and pick up Hunter Waters. He has absolutely no help and is falling back of Quentin Clark and Jeff Yenish. Yenish and Clark are starting to catch Mike Larch and Justin Rideout. And the gap's sitting now at about 1.7 seconds. Gap
and
is...
Kevin Dick and Johnny Avila, those two are going to be 9th position and 10th position. This might be Johnny's last chance in this race to try and make up some sort of ground on the points battle.
Well, yeah, it's not going to happen because Johnny Avila's 2.7 seconds back of Kevin Dick at this point. Yanish, big slide up towards the outside safer barrier in turns 1 and 2. Briefly got a peek at your lead pair. The gap's still right about 1.7 seconds as it'll be 9 laps to go this time. Oh man, Mraz got Seville a little squirrely there. That's what this second group needs to see. From Large back to Yenish, they need to see Andrew Mraz pulled out of line. The more you get those cars side by side, even a little bit like that, just getting some air at the front, that's going to be enough to help close that gap ever so slightly. Now we see it down inside of a second and a half.
Yeah, they're going to be getting in draft range pretty soon. That train of 3 cars is going to be moving faster than the top 2, so it's almost going to be like a freight train coming along if they get to them by the white flag, and there's going to be nothing Tyler Seville or Andrew Mraz can do.
Trouble for Hunter Waters at some point here. He is now back to the 13th position. He lost more than the draft. He lost everything. The gap's now down to 1.2 seconds. Large, Rideout, and Clark are on the move. Man, I don't know that there's enough time, but now it's down inside of 1 second. Man, this is going to be tight if these guys can get there. And if they do, they will be coming with a full head of steam.
The only thing is it's hard to stop a freight train, but these top 2 are going to try. At least one of them is going to jump up to block. And frankly, if you wouldn't run out in front of a freight train without a car, I wouldn't do it in a car either.
Mraz looking outside of Seville. This is going to close everybody up. Here comes Larch looking to the outside. Seville slots back in. Now he dives back to the inside. Here's Larch inside of Seville for second.
Tyler Seville going to try and fight back, or no, he's going to try and push him back and maybe get up to that top spot again. Larch going to move to the inside of Andrew Mraz, going to get it in the turn number 1.
Wow, big move by Quentin Clark. That was a power move into turn number 1. Tyler Seville with absolutely no help from the Will Worsler Racing crew. Mraz and Clark teammates, though, for Riot Esports. Excuse me, Riot Motorsports teammates. They're going to try to get themselves a win.
Caution is out.
Yellow flag is out. Trouble on the speedway may be Jeff Yenish.
Oh man, these guys were all sorts of packed up. Oh man, Jeff Yenish showed exactly what he'd do for a Klondike bar. Both Pie-Eye Motorsports cars involved. Andrew Mraz spinning around as well.
Oh my goodness. Could we have drama for Kevin Dick? The car looks okay. Again, unscathed. I don't know how. That's the 3rd or 4th time this season that we've seen that. Let's take a look. Tyler Seville coming down pit lane. That's an interesting call. Well, he does have a set of tires available to him. Take a look. This is the onboard with Kevin Dick.
Man, just what a hit. Bounces him in and out of the wall. Both sides of that car are going to be torn up.
Yeah, but it wasn't that bad. He's still driving around in circles.
It ain't going to take him out of the circle race, but I don't know he's going to have the fastest car at the circle race anymore.
So now we are heading to overtime. This is lap 114, and we are not under green flag conditions. So that means we will get into Sim Racers Club overtime procedures, which, if memory serves me correctly, is unlimited attempts. Word from race control, shared caution that time. No penalties will be assessed. Which I would tend to agree with. That was multiple cars battling for positions late in the race here, but field has gotten the 1 to go signal at the start-finish line. And this one is going to be wild. Mike Larch and Andrew Mraz on the front row. Justin Rideout and Quentin Clark on row number 2. Row 3, Johnny Avila and Scott Wise. Row 4 looks like it will be Lee Campbell lining up alongside of Kevin Dick. Will Worsler and Tom Wilhite back on row number 5. These guys were nowhere to be found for a large part of this race.
They're going to be right back up there in the mix.
Everybody's got a shot at this point.
Rowan Super Speedway racing when a Great White Checkered.
Now, I'm interested in the call for tires by Tyler Seville. Does he think we're going to get more than one overtime attempt? Because it does, for 2 laps around this place, I am not taking tires. But if you're going to make multiple green-white checkered attempts because somebody's going to wreck ahead of you, now all of a sudden tires could make a huge difference.
Yeah, tires might not make you faster here, but they give you the confidence to make big moves.
Green flag's back in the air. We're underway once again. Wow, great restart for Johnny Avila and Justin Rideout. They are all up underneath the rear deck lid of Mike Larch for the race lead. Mraz holding on to the outside. Rideout and Mraz. Contact in the middle of the corner. Avila maybe gave a little bit of right side romance.
Avila not letting go of the rear bumper of Rideout. Just sitting right on there through the corner. That is sketchy to do, especially in these beasts.
Rideout looks to the outside. If they take the white flag, the next flag will be the checkered. They do. White flag's in the air, 1 to go. Oh, Campbell makes contact. They're going to, whoa, there it is. Huge wreck out of turns 1 and 2. Now the battle's on for the race lead. Avila inside of Larch into 3. Mraz scrapes the outside wall. Where did Scott Wise come from for second? Down over the start-finish line, Johnny Avila picks up the win in Atlanta. Larch and Wise round out your podium. And I think 9 is the number of cars that are going to finish this thing on all 4s. Oh, no, we're getting a few more coming across the line.
I think they're all on all 4s, just not pointed in the right direction.
That was huge. There's Johnny Avila, your race winner. And wow, did that last lap crash really shake up the standings in a pretty big way. Let's take a look at your full race results. Then we'll go back and review the caution, or the incident, as we get ready for our victory lane interviews. Johnny Avila gets the win by 1/10.5 over Mike Larch. Scott Wise comes home in the 3rd position. Quentin Clark and Andrew Mraz complete the top 5. Tom Wilhite, Will Worsler, Andrew Moore Jr., Kevin Dick, and Jim Thorndike will complete the top 10. 11 through 15, Hunter Waters, Justin Rideout, and Troy Haight. Those are the final cars that finish on the lead lap. Lee Campbell and Tyler Seville back 1 lap down through the 15th position. 2 laps down in 16th, Richard Smith II. A.J. Digby 3 laps down in 17th. Jeff Yenish, Richard Fletcher, and John Moeller back through the 20th position. And Anthony Handley going out very early in this race, finishing in the 21st position. So we're going to take a look at the, let's go to... We'll try the blimp view here and take a look at this incident. Lee Campbell, little bit of contact with Quentin Clark, and then just all hell broke loose. How did Kevin Dick not trash that race car?
Close your eyes, hold on to the steering wheel, and hopefully make it to the other side.
Hold up. I am calling outright shenanigans now. Kevin Dick has Kevin Harvick's lucky horseshoe.
Can we get an onboard of that? Oh, he did make contact with some cars, but...
That's ridiculous.
Days of Thunder, baby. Hell yeah.
On board with Kevin Dick.
Just threading the needle right there. Oh, man. He even has time for a downshift while saving the car.
That was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Let's pick up, let's see. We'll see if we can make the buttons work here tonight. Let's see. Yeah, they don't want to be nice for us, but that's all right. Let's pick up our, let's see here. Let's find him here. Let's get him up into the booth. Our race winner tonight, Johnny Avila. Oh my goodness, man. Talk us through that last restart, because that was incredible in so many different ways.
I'm gonna be honest. I saw all the guys in front of me were on old tires, and I had new tires. So my strategy wasn't really to try and pass anybody. It was kind of just push them too fast that they slide up, and I just go under them. So it was just like knock one out of the way, and then the next one.
Well, all hell broke loose behind you, but the fight still wasn't over yet, because Mike was still there on the outside. Scott Wise seemed like he came out of absolute nowhere to challenge you late. I think he was on the same strategy you were in terms of tires.
Yeah.
Man, there was a whole lot going on there. It wasn't just kind of move them out of the way and away you go.
There was a lot going on behind me, but I wasn't really looking at my mirror, so I'll just have to watch the race back and see what I missed.
You missed a big one, that's for sure. Yeah. But man, I tell you what, this was a pretty good points night for you, other than the end of stage number 1. Was that a case of you figured the caution was going to last to the break?
I thought it might have been the caution break. I wasn't quite sure, and I didn't want to risk it and not have fuel. and then just be really short. So I just said screw it, just in case, pit, get gas, and then when the stage brake did come out, I was able to get the track position back because like I only needed a second of fuel. It just it sucks because I missed out on a lot of points, and I'm pretty sure Kevin Dick still managed to make the lead a little bit bigger.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know in terms of the stage points and all how that's going to work out, but man, I'll tell you what, you got to be a little bit jacked up here. Actually, gosh, I can't believe we have to flip the calendar already, but next week we New Hampshire and Pocono before we get the week off. What are your thoughts there? Two very, very good racetracks for you in the past.
Oh yeah, I'm really stoked for Pocono. In the Road to Pro race last week, I was able to get second. So to say Pocono is one of my better tracks, I think is an understatement. I'll definitely be looking to try and win there. And New Hampshire, I don't know. I'm good at flat tracks, so these next 2 weeks, I think these might be my best chances to make up some points on Kevin.
Well, we'll see what comes from it, brother. Congratulations on a great win tonight. And before we let you go, make sure you do all your big sponsor plugs and thank yous here, too.
Yeah, I just got to thank everybody that puts this league together and you guys up in the booth. Tonight was definitely a night of mixed strategies. So hopefully the next time we're in a race like this, we can get the team a little bit more organized. And then this way, it's the whole group of us finishing well rather than just me. I think the team finishing well as a whole is more important than the individual finish for me personally. So hopefully the next couple of weeks we get things working a little bit smoother and you have all of us running a train at the end of this finish line again.
All right, buddy. Sounds good, man. Thank you very much for coming to hang out with us in the booth here. That was quite frankly, a fantastic show. Let's bring in our runner-up finisher now, Mr. Mike Larch. And Mike, I'll tell you what, that car was an absolute rocket ship tonight. Set the whole time with the very last lap turned in qualifying, near the front the entire race. You've got to be pretty happy coming home, even if it's a second-place finish.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, obviously, I'd like to get the win there, but the objective all night was to set on the pole. If not, start up front, stay up there the best we could all night, stay out of trouble. And we did that and was able to race for the win there at the end.
Yeah, talk us through that last restart, because it seemed like leader was going to be a sitting duck, but you still had a shot to make that pass back on Johnny. He talked a little bit about the fact he thought his tires might have been a little better. Our math says you actually had about 5 lap better tires than he did. Is there anything in hindsight that maybe you would have done differently with regards to that, or did it just kind of feel like you were that sitting duck?
Yeah, leading up to that last restart there, me and Justin Rideout, the 8-car, were out here running around together tonight, working well with one another. And so we kind of talked about, starting on the inside lane versus the outside. I felt more comfortable starting on the inside. I felt like we got a pretty good restart. And then coming to the white flag there, coming out of 4, he got tight and washed up the track a little bit. Johnny got under him. And then once Johnny got behind me going into 1, coming out of 2, I felt like we were pretty good. And then I honestly thought that he was going to get the run and try and go to the outside. So I walked up the track probably about half a lane, get ready to block that. And then he shot down to the inside, and I mean, I could have forced him down there below the line or wrecked all of us, but that's not how I race. So it was a good battle. I mean, in hindsight, looking back, I probably should have just stayed on the bottom and see how that played out, but still had a shot there at the end because couldn't make it happen.
Well, congratulations on a really good run tonight. You were a fun car to watch, that's for sure. The paint job was absolutely spot on tonight. A good-looking race car, too. Congratulations on that runner-up finish, and before we let you go, make sure you do all those sponsor plugs and thank yous.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Obviously, the sponsor on the car tonight, Shop Fox. Any of you guys are into woodworking at all, go check them out. They got all kinds of woodworking tools and equipment for that kind of specialty work. Everyone at SRC here, Sam, Jordan, all the other drivers. It was a blast tonight. It's a blast week in and week out. And you guys up there in the booth, I enjoy going back after races and watching it back. And thank you guys.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you much. Appreciate the kind words from you. And we got one more Victory Lane interview to do here, and it will be with our third place finisher tonight, Mr. Scott Wise. And I'll tell you what, Scott, at one point we said, where did Scott Wise come from? That car seemed like it was a little bit up towards the high side of the racetrack a lot of the night. But ultimately at the end, third place and quite frankly, with a shot at a win.
Oh, yeah, the car was good tonight. Me and Johnny got a nice run there after the pit stops, taking 4 tires. Because actually kind of noticed on that long green run, the cars got real tight. So it's just like I can't take the gamble on just taking 2 tires or no tires. Got to get the 4 tires so I can make the car go where I want it to, and it almost worked out.
Yeah, it was a great run. Did you give any thought to kind of putting the bumper to Johnny off at turn 4 if you were going to get there?
I don't know about putting the bumper to him, but unfortunately, Michael Larch put a good side draft on me going through 3 and 4, so I wasn't able to complete my run. But I think if I'd have had a little bit of room on there, I could have given Johnny a run for his money.
Well, I tell you what, it was a hell of a show you guys put on for us tonight. Thank you very much for coming to hang out with us here. And before we let you go, do any of the sponsor plugs and thank yous you'd like to get in.
I'd like to thank Sam and Jordan for putting on this league. I don't get the opportunity to run with them full time, but I come in when I can, have some fun with the guys. It's a great group of drivers, and I enjoy it when I can. And thank you guys for doing up the broadcast. It was a great show.
All right, brother. Well, thank you much. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us here for just a minute. And, man, I'll tell you what, Bizzle, we expected some wild, we expected some crazy, and the P1 Battery Powerhouse 175 certainly lived up to the moniker tonight here at Atlanta.
Yeah, this was a really, really fun one. 3 wide racing, lots of action, some crashes, some strategy, and hell, we got a great finish too, so can't complain at all with this one.
Yeah, we got a big one off of turn number 4, that's for sure. Off of turn number 2 on the final lap. That really kind of shook things up a little bit here, too. Put Kevin Dick back to the 9th position. Andrew Moore Jr., who was almost a lap down at one point, ended up finishing in the 8th position. There was a whole lot going on there because of that incident. We talked about a shakeup in the points being a possibility, and we got it organically on the racetrack here tonight.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. Still trying to digest everything that happened here. I still can't believe Justin Rideout saved that car so many times. I've tried driving these cars now at the ovals a couple times, and it's almost impossible to catch.
Justin Rideout and Kevin Dick, and Roger Rios checking in the comments saying, when you're lucky, you're lucky. Yes, the Golden Horseshoe
Rather be lucky than good.
is firmly in the possession of Kevin Dick right now, but man alive. Still 2 more weeks of racing to go before the final off week of the season. Next week, we will be at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, followed by a trip to Long Pond, Pennsylvania, and a visit to Pocono Raceway. We will be off the 3rd week of August, and then we close out the month with Richmond and Michigan to close out the season. Going to be an absolutely fantastic final 4 races here. I guess 5 races. Final 4 coming up here for the Sim Racers Club. Coming up tomorrow night, it will be the U.S. Open Wheel Championship out at Olton Park. They will make a visit there, and then we will be back on Monday night with the Silver Crowns taking on Phoenix, the old layout of Phoenix with the open dogleg. That race has the potential for some chaos and insanity, too. We're looking forward to it. But with that, time for us to get the heck on out of here. Been a fantastic show tonight. Got to say a huge thank you to everybody that makes these shows possible. Sam and Jordan for putting on a fantastic league here in the Sim Racers Club. These races are a blast to get to cover, and we got to thank them for their support. And we got to thank all of you watching at home as well. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us here 2-3 nights a week, and look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow night for the U.S. Open Wheelers. For Patrick Byrne and everybody here at the National Racing Network that makes these shows happen, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us. We will talk to you all soon. Have a great night, everybody.